What's up, gamers? It's your boy, the SHELLBULLET8 here again with another video for you today. Hola, previeta, bienvenue, what it do? No, seriously. So first off, yeah, it's a new, well, I'm using a different mic than what I would usually use for this video, and hopefully you guys can hear me well enough. If not, let me know. I apologize about that if not, but it seems like the sound is at a pretty good level. So the first thing I want to say to you guys beyond that is thank you. Thank you because we've reached over 250, 260 or more subs now here on YouTube. So I got to thank you guys for helping out there. And then for everybody that went on and has been, support me on Twitch as well. Thanks for following me on there. Now, the goal here on YouTube next is 500 and 1,000. There we go. Now, alongside this, the idea today was to actually go into Zgirls and do some Siege. However, I got a message and someone told me that it seemed like Siege might be broken. So I ran a test. Siege is broken right now. I've already put together some stuff for the devs to look at, and they are on it. Of course, the time frame that it's going to take for them to actually get it fixed, I mean, after talking to them a few different times, usually it's within a week to 2 weeks, something along the lines of that, but who knows with this one. But anyway, there's been some other stuff that people have requested, and that's what we're going to go into today. So welcome to another Zgirls tutorial, I guess that's what you want to call it. But yeah, let's go ahead and hop into it. All right, here we are. So one of the biggest things that people have been wondering about, and it's more for maybe a lot of the people who are either newer to the game or who just have never really looked at it or thought about it too much. As we all know, I stopped playing this quite some time ago. There's been a few updates. I've looked over the updates, checked out some of the info on them, different things like that. But what people are asking about are the skills of the enablers, the passive skills, some of the active skills, and then the skills that, or the new enabler skills. All right, so that's what we're going to take a look at right now, and then I'll probably talk to you guys a little bit about some Siege things, but won't really jump too much into it because of the fact that right now there is a little bit of an issue. Now, first off, taking a look at something else, I'm not sure how most of you all have your wall set up, but on your wall, just like when you go out and you attack in the field, when you siege, or when you set up for an arena, you have the ability to set up multiple enablers right there on the line, right next to each of. Let's just go and take a look at this really quick. So I'm not actually going to do it, but let's say I wanted to pull an attack on these little guys here. Go into your settings, you more than likely have actually set up who's going to run on what, with which troops, things of that nature. So you see, of course, you have your backup enablers, as they call it, right here on the line. Whoops, swap those two around. It's so strange still doing this on a computer, but yeah, you have your 5 enablers there. Now, the thing about it is, when it comes to your wall, right now, they're kind of a detriment to you. It's almost not helpful, and in some light, a hindrance if you have them on your wall right now. There's a long explanation to it, but pretty much just understand. For some people, it's really not going to affect them. I actually allowed somebody to continuously attack me with no enabler on the wall, and still having those 5 backup enablers there on the wall, I was fine. I mean, their attacks are really nothing in the first place. I beat them out by thousands of percentage in fact, if I have my enabler and everything else there. But without her, my main enabler, I should say, in the main slot here. But without her, you know, it doesn't balance it out. Still, there's some places where they are higher than me, but their attacks really are meaningless, honestly. So, I mean, if you're on that level, you're perfectly fine. But if you have a single enabler already there on the line, a main enabler for the smaller schools and things like that, it might be good for you to take the other ones off, because of the issue in Siege right now, it's kind of hurting people. Anyway, I shouldn't have really gone into that much, but I did. Just trust me on this. That portion will more than likely be fixed much quicker than the rest of the Siege issues. So, going back into the school though. So as we know, we had a lot of new enablers put into the game. And with those new enablers, what ended up happening was they gave them skills. The first enabler that we had go on was SP Sarah. This one here. She was one of the first ones, and she has an SP, which is essentially special. That's what that means. So all of our enablers are ranked by different things. So SR, I'm going to call that super rare, super rare, special. R is just rare. And essentially, the R's and SRs are kind of common, and it's better to actually go into the checklist to check this out. Yeah, so those are your ranks right there. Place it at all. Now, the way that they're actually set up here would kind of make you think, oh, maybe that's from strongest to least strongest, so on and so forth. Not actually. What it is number one, your highest levels, which I can't believe I haven't went ahead and put a few of these at level 50, but whatever. Your highest level is typically going to be on that first line. Now, in some cases, it actually takes into account their strength and things like that based on the gear, so on and so forth. But what we more so want to get into, first off, understanding skills. Now, going in, if we go to, let's say, Misaki. All right, so you've got passive and active skills, things like that. Your skills, not within here, come from Kizuna. So increase dead troop attack by 200.21%. Now, of course, when you use your Kizuna and the enabler shards, that's what's going to increase that. And it has tons of different things for each enabler. Some of them are done in sets because some of them are linked together, whether it's through friendships or through being siblings, things like that. That's where you get most of your skills and your strength when it comes to siege and arena and everything else. Now, alongside that, there is this. Your combat skills. When you click on the skills button, she doesn't have any right now. However, let's go to, you know what, preferable to do it this way. All right, so we go into skills. Now, these are the other skills that you actually, oh my gosh, I completely forgot to see. This is why, like, not playing anymore, I've forgotten to push most of these over their limits. So anyway, this is where your other skills come from for each individual enabler themselves. Now, the stuff that comes from Kizuna affects the whole, your whole school, all your enablers, everything else. This here actually affects everyone, yet again, your whole school, but you actually do it on a level where it's required that you reach a specific rank with that specific enabler before any of these can actually increase. Whereas with Kizuna, that enabler could be at level 15 and you could boost all of her Kizuna properties up to max and not have to worry about it. But where the other skills come into play are right here. So you have Blade Storm and Deadly Strike for her. This game has a huge tendency to label something as one thing, but it means something else. And I'll show you what I mean by that in a second. Now, this is just lazy, absolutely lazy Blade Storm, but very self-explanatory on this one. Blade Storm cause huge damage to all enemy troops. Level 1 damage factor 250%, level 2 damage factor 400%, and these are increases on the actual damage. Now, here's the problem though. In this game, there's attack, defense, HP, but there's also a damage class. Now, what's this saying? Is it actually saying it's causing 250% damage? That can't be the case, because in testing, different siege or arena situations, if that were the case, whoever, right now, I mean, I'm willing to bet that most people only have this maybe at max to level 3 right now, because of what you have to do in order to increase, these enablers. And if that were the case, though, it were actually damage, you would pretty much destroy everybody in arena, because damage plays a huge role in arena. Whereas what I'm taking this in as is that's actual attack damage percentage based on her attacking, whoever, or if she's as a backup enabler, which she's typically used as one of the backups, then that increase helps on whichever unit you're fighting against. So when you're in, let's go in there and just take a quick look. All right, so taking a look at what that means in here. All right, if you go into your challenge records in arena, and you of course will see everything that's here, all of, okay, I'm like, that's in reverse, but whatever. I just realized he is trying to see if he can beat me yet or not. Still a no, but you can take a look at all of your information right here. All right, now at the same time, clicking on battle details, it'll take you in here, and then you can take a look at this. So I believe I have SP Sarah on the second line, maybe the first, I'm not sure. I think it's the second. So in his case, he has Yui. What you're seeing here is based on the fact that he has her skills unlocked and they're being used. So the 237,270 T10 deads, kills 1213, deaths 4638. Now, looking at mine, and we have Sarah here. There we go. All right. I'm sorry, wounded versus deaths. These are actually wounded. This is death here. 269,459, 2643 in kills. Now, to me, this is kind of ridiculous. It's kind of, it's one of those things where it's like, how much is that really helping? It doesn't seem like much. But then you notice also that there's this here. Attack times. 12 attacks versus 6 on that line. I'm sorry, 5. I'm looking at the wrong one for him here. So yeah, on that line. Now, will it matter when it comes to who's on that line versus, whomever, whatever you're in, arena, siege, whatever the case may be? Will it matter who's on that line? It should. And it also should matter what troops are there. But because the troop levels and they override kind of the logic of the game. What I mean by that is you have Kuroda here, who is a dead enabler. Her skills are dead based, so on and so forth. But he's running it with T10 attackers. That's fine. You know why? Because it doesn't matter that dead and attacker are sitting here together. It should matter though, because there's certain enablers that are shooter enablers, some that focus on attackers, so on and so forth. And of course, right now, Kuroda doesn't have this type of skill setup. All right. Now, going back to what we were talking about as far as the illogical stuff. This is what I mean by this game has a tendency, the developers, and it's a language barrier, so on and so forth, stuff like that. I mean, that plays a huge role in these types of things. But let's take a look at one of our newest enablers here, Lanye. This is about the most asinine explanation. All right, I haven't upgraded this either. Gun Club Whirlwind. Throw out the double guns to cause damage to all enemies, and then spin the gun to cause damage to a random enemy, and finally cause damage to all enemy teams before flying back to the hand. Now, you can take that in your head and say, all right, I can imagine this whole situation, but let's take a look at what the explanation is. Level 1, when the spear is flying out and retracting, it deals 25% damage to all enemies, and when it rotates, it deals 110% damage to a single squad. First off, we were talking about guns, double guns, Vash the Stampede. Well, no, not actually, not Vash, but damn, I can't even think of who I was thinking of. Whatever. But we're talking double guns here, and then all of a sudden we're talking about a spear flying. All right, fine. We can accept that, there's that error right there. But it deals 25% damage to all enemies while it's flying out and retracting. But when it rotates, it deals 110% damage. This again is kind of ridiculous because you throw something out there, all right, it's flying forward. Retracting would actually mean that it's going away. But if you have it doing that continuously, retraction, extraction, over and over again, maybe that's what you consider the whirling situation. Why is it not that it just deals 110% damage to all squads, or just 25% damage to a single squad? Kind of would make a whole lot more sense. But these are the kind of things that you kind of have to watch out within this game, because some of the stuff that's supposedly, self-explanatory absolutely is not. The other place that you actually have skills that you have to take a look at is right here as well. So this skill list are actual active skills that you'll use while you're in the middle of siege, more than anything. I mean, bumper harvest, you can use that multiple times in a day, depending on how long you're up or whatever. Typically twice a day, unless you are a 24/7 type of person, then 3 times a day there. Now, along with that, you have these other skills that come into play, which are actually more so leaning towards siege. So range attacking, for instance. Next siege will kill 1 to 10% random troops. That's perfectly fine. That's perfectly self-explanatory right now. But the problem with it is this isn't actually true. And why it's not true is because based on certain gear and certain other objects you can actually use, or shards and things like that you can use in the game, it negates this, and they don't realize that it negates it. So it kind of makes no sense for it to be there. In fact, this kind of becomes a hindrance to some players because they need this actual skill in order to help them to fight against a larger school. But when it doesn't work against a larger school because they have better gear or something along the lines of that, you're kind of screwed. I've actually seen sieges where no troops are killed, and I know the person was using full skill, or even I was using full skill, or actually just this skill, because if I use full skill, troops are dying, plain and simple. but just this skill specifically, and no troops died. Someone used full skill on me. I lost 0 troops, and I was not full skilled either. And what I mean by full skilled is this: all of these ones that have this these attack attributes and things like that, most people will set up a fight plan, and in that fight plan you'll put all the skills that you're going to use for, you know, a specific battle or whatever the case may be. Now this is going into kind of helping out with Siege here. Let's say you set that up and you decided you're going to attack some school, and bam, you get into the battle, you take them out, whatever, you come back. Each one of these have a specific time limit on them, and each one of them have a specific cooldown time. Now with the time limit, what you can do to bypass that time limit, if you have the right gear, other things like that, you can actually go in and utilize skills that are typically weapons-based skills, things of that nature. And let's say space interval. Space interval will actually reduce the cooldown time by 50%. All right, you can only use it once every 24 hours, but there's a catch to it. If you have 2 of the space intervals, bam, you use them both, you just reset all of your skills, your active skills right there, and you can reuse them all again at that point in time. Plus, a couple of enablers actually have, or an enabler actually has the ability to do that same exact thing. So that means that technically you can get a 36 hours of cooldown all in a span of, you know, whatever time it actually takes for certain skills to become dead. What I mean by dead is when they're blocked off like this, because some skills last for 5 minutes, some last for 10 minutes, some last for 30 minutes. It all depends on the skill. But technically, you can reset your full entire skill list right then and there, use them again, and then come back after all of them have worn out and get another 12 hours off of your time, which would allow you to use your skills technically based on what time of day you used them, about 3 times in a day. That makes a good siege right there. All right, so going back into this now, here's the tricky part. It's knowing what enablers to match with what enablers yet again, because some of them have friendships or partnerships, or their siblings, or whatever the case may be. And if I remember correctly, I believe Masami, and you can typically tell by their Kizuna. So Masami, and there's a new one. Yeah, okay. So there's, I think in this group, there's 3. These 2 are actually in a part of a group. This one here, I believe, is also a part of said group. So if you stack them all on one enabler, as far as like your main enabler, and then you have your 5, you stack them all in, there's supposed to be some form of a boost, or because of the fact that those 3 characters are all connected somehow, it's supposed to give you a leg up essentially against whoever you're going against, but it really doesn't. And that was part of the explanation when their story came out. It really doesn't at all. I can be dead serious about that. What I'm going to tell you, I guess the point I'm getting at here is, when it comes to those 5 separate enablers, your best bet is to take a look at what you need to back up your main enabler. So taking SP Sarah, I like using her as an example. Troops, just about all of them have this blanked out, but attack 15,387, defense 4483, HP 6385. Now, the reason that's so high, I believe, has to do, yeah, okay, I wasn't sure if I put something on her or not. but it has to do with that right there. The actual bloodstones will increase these levels drastically, as you can see. Other enablers focus more on recovery and the energy that you actually have, because when you go out and do siege and things like that, supposedly it takes place in arena as well, but you won't see it. But essentially, let's say where's she at? I believe Carol. Is it Carol? It is. So Carol actually has this here. Start with 60 energy, 70 energy, 80, 90, 100. This one here, conversion efficiency as far as your actual energy. So this is kind of one of those misleading things again. Consume your energy value and replenish it proportionally to the friend with the lowest energy value. So what it's saying is you're going to consume Carol's energy and then proportionally give what it would seem like would be, if you say something proportional, that means that it's typically a split. All right, so if Carol and Mizaki are on the line as the 5 backup enablers, half of her energy is going to go to Misaki because she has the lower of energy throughout all of the enablers on the line. But then again, what it could be saying is this: conversion efficiency is 40%. These explanations. So this could be a situation where it's saying it's effectively not going to get or give 50% of what her actual energy is to Misaki or whoever I said, but it's going to take 40% of whatever her energy is and hand it over. But then the problem becomes this: if you take 40% energy from her, now all of a sudden she's lacking energy. And the only way that, she could essentially have high enough energy to give to another enabler is if you have this here damn near maxed out, because you give 40% of 100, well, she's still rocking 60 energy, where she just gave away 40 energy. Does it make sense? Does it sound like a good idea? Not really, all except for the fact that that energy does play a role, because just like your good old mechs here, oopsie, all right, as we all know, if you go out and you attack too much, God, I have to upgrade these things. This is ridiculous. It's the only one I really finished. But you have an energy amount, so 149, and it recovers 48 every hour. All right, so essentially that, let's just take this as 50, rounded up, 50 and 150. So it would take about 3 hours approximately, a little bit over 3 hours because of the fact that this is only 48. But it would take about 3 hours in order to get the energy all the way back up to the mecha so that they can go back out and fight again. Now, imagine having only 30 or 40 energy for an enabler who has to go out and continuously do siege over and over and over again. At some point in time, when you have that 5 line set up, if that enabler with the lower amount of energy keeps getting sent out, well, at some point that's going to go away. That enabler will stop going out until the energy replenishes, which is why you actually need those types of backup enablers who deal with energy or defense, so on and so forth. There's no real way that I can tell you, hey, this is how you should have everything set up for each of your main 3 enablers, but that's what you have to focus on. So you have to take your main 3 enablers that go out and, do most of the attacking and everything else. Oh, nice. Let's see what this is. Uh-oh, somebody might be in trouble. Okay. All right. Not who I was looking for, but whatever. So when it comes down to your main enablers and they're being sent out continuously, what I was saying was, based on your list here, that is all honestly a personal preference. In some cases, considering my Misaki is set up pretty damn heavy on attack and HP. I mean, she's just strong. This right here is kind of annoying, but maybe I'll get into this at a different point in time too. They screwed up a ton when they made these changes to this game, which is why so many people left. But anyway, whereas Celestia, she's weak in my eyes, and she's weak not only because of her having the lesser of the not the equipment, but the elements on her equipment that I set up, because she's used as my like 3rd enabler, but also because land mecha, I haven't fully upgraded that either. But with her, I decided not to put a whole lot of heavy hitting backup enablers, and in fact these are all still messed up because I haven't updated them yet. Yeah, whatever. You all get the idea. But that's the thing. So you have to look at what's best in your situation. Do you need a lot of support enablers to back up, your main strong enabler, or do you need strong backup enablers to back up your strong enabler, to keep it all like in a power, essentially a huge power situation where it's just going out and just wrecking everything it touches? Or do you want to have some form of balance? That is 100% up to you. Just remember that you have so many different things that you have to keep in mind as well, or so many other things that you can look at and say, you know what? Well, if I'm sending out Misaki, maybe I can put a bunch of support, defensive enablers and things like that, because, well, Misaki's skill, after the skill takes effect with Misaki Tuyo, leads the team. The troops who died in battle will continue to fight until the end. Lasts for 10 minutes. And that's a pretty damn good skill. And then you've got Death and Danger, which every 10,000 troops that have been killed will kill the enemy 1,000 troops directly. All right, lasts for 10 minutes again. And then what is the last one? Oh, you pass. I skipped that one. So randomly reduce the enemy troops' HP and defense bonus by 50 to 100%. Lasts for 10 minutes. This is, absolutely fantastic. The problem with it is then it takes away the actual skill and your setup and everything else that you actually put all the work into to go out and be able to, pull off a proper siege, and leaves it in the hands of the game's random algorithm, which, as we all know, is kind of garbage. That's just what it is. And they know they need to fix these things, but the fact of the matter is they really don't care. There's money grab that's happening. And so, I mean, that effectively is what the game is run off of, which is why it's such a huge P2W type, style game, which a lot of mobile games are technically. There is a way, though, that, I mean, I've seen myself personally, I think I hit over 300 million as far as power and everything else, as well as had, I believe my percentage for, arena and stuff like that was over 2,000 before I ever put anything into it. A dollar here and there, I don't consider those people, P2W, anything like that, but you can put a heavy amount into this game and get to a point where myself and others actually are. But I mean, pretty much that is the gist of, these new enablers, their skills, everything else. And in order to actually upgrade those skills, if you didn't know, we'll go back in here, which I'm sure everybody does know. Come on, bro. Really? All right. We'll go back in here real quick, take a look, see, and where we at. So let's say upgrading this one here. Mizutsuki Chu. Upgrading their star level. Here's what you got to work with. You need 35,000. What? Oh, it's going for star 3, I believe. Yeah, no, star 4. 35,000 of her shards, and then 175,000 of the blues, which, like I said, I haven't been on too much. We all know this. I need to go ahead and get more of those because I have to finish upgrading a whole lot of these enablers just to keep the old museum, fully set up. For her, okay, it's the same, but there is Anna. She's the same. These two I know are the same. Sunika, I believe, is completed, so I can't even show you. This one, oh yeah, there we go. Hers, she requires to actually use these here fancy little Zgirl stars. The problem with it is there's so many things right now that they just do not give. They've opened up a ton of different things as far as like with the events. They've made it easier for people, I think, to actually hit all of the levels within the events if you get on and you're able to grind continuously, for the rewards. Some of us aren't, have other things going on, or just don't care enough to actually do that. But even still, in this case here, there aren't enough events that are put out that actually give you the ability to get those, as well as the actual things you need for the upgrade of these abilities. It's a really crappy sort of situation, but it is what it is. Oh, and by the way, these details here, there you go. The details actually give you a little bit more insight, which to some effect, all this is saying are the candy colors, which you have no idea what candy color she's throwing, or you don't get to pick which candy color it is, anything like that. It's just one of those situations where it gives you a little bit more of, a perspective in it. And it's only for specific abilities that it actually gives you that. Throw a few candies in the candy bag to a random enemy team, and each candy causes individual damage. So 5 candies, 50%, 6, 7, 8, 9, so on and so forth. Goes up by 10% per 1 candy. All of this stuff is pretty, self-explanatory, but I do understand that there are a lot of even these here. They just don't really explain them well enough. And in those cases, I have no issue, if you message me in game and I come on and I check my messages periodically, or if you decide that you want to message me right here on YouTube, right in the video, something like that, it's perfectly fine. I'll try and answer the question as best as I can, and I hope you guys enjoy this video. And please do remember to like, comment, and most definitely help me out. Go ahead and subscribe. But I think we've pretty much covered everything that I was going to cover on here as far as the enablers go. So what I'm going to talk about real fast, just in a short, brief sort of manner, is Siege. So as far as your wall goes, what most people set up for their wall are 3 T10 dead rows and 2 T10A rows. Some people even go as far as to say, you know what, screw it, I can just run 4 T10 dead rows and 1 T10 attacker row, and that's perfectly fine as well. Now, when it comes to your enablers and their setups, well, this is actually set up slightly different because of the test that I was actually running earlier. I personally don't like using this gear for Siege, I still, to some extent, like going with the Genesis gear and 2 of the Fairy gear. The only problem with it is this: it kind of doesn't make any sense anymore to do, because they semi screwed up the whole situation. So because of the damage bonus for Project Zero, things like that, and the Ace Killer never really worked, and I don't think it still does to this day. I'd have to test it, check it out, just see if I can, find any real difference in it. But Project Zeros, when you would run them on the line against any gear, any wall, it didn't matter, they would wipe that wall out. That is no longer the case. Pretty much you have to set up your attack with T10 deads and T10 attackers in order to go out and actually siege, which now decreases the actual amount as far as your kills and how much power your enemy loses and things like that. Now the other thing to it is this: you could actually set up 2 pieces of coordination, 2 pieces of collapse, and 2 pieces of perseverance. And the reason why is to get this bonus here: all troop damage reduction plus 20%, all troop attack distance plus 2, and a 10% increase in final damage on your siege, because damage is a huge part of it. And we're not talking just regular attack damage. There is another category for damage as well when it comes to siege and arena, which is so strange, but that's the way that they set it up. Now, let's see. Beyond that, really, all I can tell you is that when you go out and siege against someone, make sure that you set yourself up as best as you possibly can when you go out. Secondly, go in, use all of your buffs, which, you have 20% strength and 20% defense buffs that you can actually use. You have, some of us actually have 40% ones as well. The 40% ones only last for an hour, whereas the 20% ones last for 12 hours. Then you also have certain things that you can use, which are 50% or 60% increase to troop marches. The 50% lasts for 4 hours, 60% is 1 hour. And then you also have, which I'm surprised I haven't bought more of these, 100% march size card. The catch to it is this: it does not work for project troops, which really you aren't going to use right now, but it does work for all other troops. Set yourself up, go ahead out there, and then use your skill attacks. Now, usually what you'd want to do, if you can get in 2, maybe 3 attacks prior to using your skills, go ahead and do that. Go out, attack with your first 2 or your main 3 enablers, get those attacks in, then immediately click on your skill, full skill, go in and attack again, and go repeatedly over and over again. 0, 1, 2, 3 based on your setup. As far as your enabler attack setup, which we talked about right here. 0, 1, 2, 3. You have 5 completely, so you can run all 5. But the fact is, the other ones more than likely aren't going to have a mech on them, anything like that. As well as this, I personally don't care. Doesn't matter to me because it won't hurt me, affect me, whatever. I won't lose much power if I do it. But your enabler that's on the wall and all of the enablers that are on the wall with that enabler, when you send them out to go and attack, your wall is defenseless at that point, which means that your enemy can immediately come and attack you, and then bam, you've lost a whole lot more power than what you originally thought you were going to lose going out and doing that whole siege attack. Now, when it comes to actually taking an enabler off the wall that's using the full perseverance, it used to be a situation that you could use a setup of 3 Project Zeros, 1 T10 dead, and 1 T10 attacker. Go in, wipe that wall out and take the enabler, even with the 100%, no removal. Since that's not the case now, what you actually have to do is this. You have to go in essentially with the same wall that they have set up. So if they have a wall of 3 T10 deads, 2 T10 attackers, you have to go in with that same setup. Now, in some cases, you overpower them so much that it just doesn't even matter what they do, it's going to take it. But more than likely, if they're wearing that full 100% fairy suit, you have to full skill, and it's going to be either Misaki or ZRS2 as far as your enablers that are going to be the ones to take them off that wall and capture their enabler. Of course, they can go ahead and kill the enabler, do the suicide pill, or use the skill right here, which is escape, and then use Nirvana to bring her right back. And you'll just have to repeat that process again. But because your full skill may have ran out within a 5-minute period of time, you may have to wait until you can go back and do it all over again, full skill again, when you reset your skills within 10, 20, 30-minute period of time, because most of the active skills that only run at max 30 minutes. But some of them, if you don't care, if they're still running or whatever, and you just want to get that enabler off the wall while they're still running, go ahead, do it, clear out your skills, go right back, use them again, take that enabler off the wall. The only problem is this, that right now, while Siege is still broken, you may have an issue with it. Some more than likely not, but it is a situation. But anyway, so I think that's it right now. We have kind of run even over the time that I actually planned on running this video for. Again, hey, thanks a lot for joining. Thanks a lot for watching. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe. I have a lot more. I keep saying that. I have a lot more videos coming for you. This weekend, there will be some streaming going on as well. Even in the next hour or two, there will be some streaming going on. But there'll be a whole lot of new stuff that you guys are absolutely going to enjoy. Hey, thanks a lot. I'm the SHELLBULLET8. I'm out. Peace.